we are introducing FigJam this year. Out of curiosity, and you can type this in the chat, have any of you heard of or used FigJam before, or Figma is the other name for it? And if your answer is nope, then you're in the right spot. So a little background. We have used Jamboard in the past. Google Jamboard was a very popular option, particularly during the pandemic. It was like kind of like a whiteboard. You could set things up sort of like Google Slides and then push it out to students. And so we used it quite a bit. Personally, I didn't use it a lot in like my job, but I set up Jamboards for other people to use. So the idea was that you would have like a whiteboard, which for our touchscreen laptops is great, right? I just want a whiteboard to write some notes on. Maybe the students are going to collaborate on it, but in the last year, Google announced that they are killing off Jamboard. And then in came Figma. Figma is a large company. Most of their bread and butter is through app development, which I didn't know this, but a lot of their where they're making their money is app development. We are not using the app development part of this. So part of that app development is a smaller portion of their company called FigJam. And those are interactive whiteboards. Why do they have FigJam? Well, that's where they do their brainstorming for their app development. So FigJam is a whiteboard. It's got a ton of tools in it. You'll see a lot of them today. And FigJam is free for education. So that's amazing. So we have set up FigJam for all of our users. So our students can get into it, our teachers can get into it. We'll actually get you an account today so that you can sign in and do all these things. Couple things with that. Does this mean that your FigJam has to be collaborative? Like you have to share it with students? No, it does not mean that. If you want to use FigJam as like a classroom hub for yourself, if anybody's used Classroom Screen in the past, so again, another popular website, you might be able to use FigJam for the same thing and you can save your settings in here. So I could see FigJam being used as like a classroom screen. We can use it for like group work. So yeah, I could get students in there and they can collaborate a little bit. But really I can just make it whatever I need it to be. As a math teacher, if I wanted it to be almost similar to OneNote where I'm like writing notes and then there's like a big picture of all the notes that we took and then I can share that with students. I do the same thing there. So FigJam can be anything. It doesn't have to be a collaborative whiteboard between you and your students. You could use it just primarily as the teacher. But there's a lot of really awesome options in here and a lot of tools that are pre-built in FigJam that I think are going to be really useful for you as the teacher. So the same kind of functionality as Jamboard and some of the same functionality as like Google Slides, but I would say like on steroids, like on way too many steroids. But there are a lot of options in here. So all of these tools we're going to look at. We're not going to get into every single one of them, but we're going to see quite a bit of them today. So Mary asked a great question. I got a lot of Jamboards or I have any Jamboards at all. Can I convert those to FigJam? And you can, but the one thing I'll say is you have to do that before October of this year because Google is going to take all those Jamboards and make them PDFs after October. So that's something to know, but they do have like where you import your Jamboards and it will convert it to a FigJam very easy. So yes, and our team is happy to help you with that. Okay, so this is a slide that I'm not going to get too far into this, but this is something for you to come back to. So as we go through our FigJam today, I'm going to show you a ton of different tools all around the screen. If you ever forget what those tools do, you can come back to this slide because it will explain those things. Okay, we'll get you signed up in just a second. Some of the tools that we will look at today will be sticky notes. I love this option. It makes it very organized within there. This is great for group work. Notice at the bottom of each of these sticky notes, it has the student's name or the author's name, which is fantastic. So you're able to actually see who's adding content into, let's say it is going to be something like a group activity. I could also, again, as a teacher, if I'm just going to use this independently, like this could be an organization for some things, and I want to like write a sticky note reminder for myself of some things that I have to do. So sticky notes are really easy to add. The other thing I'm going to mention is not Jamboard, FigJam is going to have a ton of keyboard shortcuts. One of those is S for sticky. You don't have to remember all of these. As you use it, you will get better at using it. So you'll get better at remembering those ones that you really want to use. You can also drag those sticky notes up from the bottom toolbar. All right, stamps and emotes. So students are able to participate through stamps in the FigJam or emotes in the FigJam, and that's just going to convey some responses. E will bring up that stamp and emote wheel. We will do that today so we can have a little bit of fun with some of these things. And this is definitely where I'm going to need you guys to participate. But that's just where students can convey some emotions within that, especially if our students are maybe brainstorming, maybe they're going to go vote for the topic that they choose. All right, comments. So in addition to our Post-it notes, our emojis, and all of that, I can also add comments. So you're going to see like little bubbles show up with the user's profile picture. That's going to be their Google profile picture. And then we can have commenting history. So maybe I give it a group of like 4 students. They have their own little FigJam. They're collaborating on this document. And then I can go in and add some comments where maybe they need some feedback in there. C is going to be our keyboard shortcut for comments. The wonderful thing about FigJam is that there are templates that are ready for you to use as a teacher. So you don't have to think of all this stuff yourself. You don't have to start from scratch. In fact, the FigJam that we're going to participate in today is one that was provided for me. So I did not create this one. It was provided for me. I made the adjustments that I needed to make, and then I'm going to share it with you. All right, a few other tools that we have in here. We have a marker, which works really well with your laptop, your touchscreen laptop. And remember, you can always get a stylus. If you do not have a stylus, you can request one in Incident IQ, request a stylus so that you're able to just write on your screen. It's going to be a little different for me today because I am on my desktop, but maybe if I think about it, I'll open up my laptop too while we're working on things. But I have a marker, I have a highlighter. So again, thinking about what students might be using this, maybe we're participating in actually highlighting some of the text that we're reading or something like that. M is going to be our keyboard shortcut. Does anybody do any work with timelines or graphic organizers? For a while there, it was like, well, we have this thing, but it's not great, or you kind of have to make it up, or find a graphic organizer on Teachers Pay Teachers and pay for it or something like that. FigJam has your graphic organizers. So you're going to see that we have both shapes and then also connectors. And if I put a connector in and then I move one of those shapes, that connector stays with that shape, which is awesome. So we're able to really organize our ideas or organize maybe writing, timeline, something like that. We're able to do that with shapes and connectors. Multimedia and link previews. This is where I would say it's almost like a HyperDoc used to be, where you would have like your YouTube videos or you'd have a slideshow in there or whatever. You actually have access to embed other items within this FigJam. And then those items either play, if it's a video, it'll play right within FigJam. If it's a document, it'll open, you can see that right now. It'll actually open up a little Google Docs window. So it's keeping them all on one tab, which is awesome. I don't know how much we'll get into this today because this is kind of a little further, but just know that we have like multimedia that we're able to add in to FigJam. I already kind of mentioned this, that FigJam has a ton of education templates, so you're not having to recreate the wheel. Talked a little bit about that. Widgets are available in there, and that just like kind of makes FigJam a little more fun. I want you to think about Classroom Screen if you've used Classroom Screen, or if you use like a slide that has like what you're doing for the day and you keep it up for students. Widgets in FigJam are going to have some of those same options. So you might have a timer on there. You can see this teacher has like a spinning wheel. So we're going to see all the students' faces that are in there, and we can spin the wheel. We've got a little Polaroid camera. Like there's a ton of widgets that we're able to explore. Stickers, honestly, it's just something fun. But again, another way for the students to kind of interact with the content, or you to interact with the content. High fives, this one's fun. Press and hold the H to high five a friend. If you agree with something that they've added to the FigJam. A timer is actually built into this. So again, thinking about like maybe this is our classroom hub. You saw at the beginning that I had a Canvas slideshow pulled up and I had a little timer that was going. I can do the exact same thing in FigJam. It has like just ambient sound or ambient music. And then maybe I've got a list of the things that students need to be working on. So if I'm giving my students some independent time to work, that timer on the side is going to be really helpful. Okay, I think we are ready to get into our template. So again, that slideshow, I know I went through all that very quickly. It's really just a resource to remind you of all the things that we have available to us. But we're going to click on the second link today, and we're looking for, it's called the FigJam file for today. Okay, so this is one super fun feature with FigJam, especially if I'm using it like in this case, right, where I'm like presenting something to you. Two things. I can spotlight myself, and so you probably got like a little notification that said like that you should follow me. And so you're going to follow along as I'm going through things. So what I'm seeing, you're seeing, right? The other thing that I see is I see all your little cursors. So I'm able to see, and maybe what I do is I'm going to add a shape over here, and we're going to call this our parking lot. So I would love for you guys to all go over to that parking lot. So you're just going to drag your cursor over to the parking lot. Again, I am making this up as I go. So that seems like a great idea for me as the teacher. If I've got a bunch of students in there, we want everybody at the parking lot, right? This is not saying that if I'm going to be using FigJam that I have to actually share the file with students right away. If I'm going to be presenting something, I can just present it like I would a Google slideshow. So welcome to your FigJam training. Okay, we have talked a little bit already about what FigJam is, what it can do for us, using it with students a little bit. So I'm gonna have us navigate over to how to navigate. How to navigate. So this is one of the first things that you're gonna want to try to master in FigJam. I say the word try because I forget. Now, what I will say is, if you're on your laptop right now, which I'm sure most of you probably are, and all of our laptops are touchscreen, right? You can actually pinch and zoom, or you can use your finger on your screen. That's an easy way to kind of navigate around FigJam. I'm on my desktop right now, so I can't do that. I can't touch my screen to navigate it. So there's a few things that I want to be able to do. The first thing is I want to move my FigJam. So you saw that I had like kind of what I would call slides in there. And if I want to move to another space, I'm going to hold down the space bar and then I'm going to drag. So I can move this space here. I can also come to the bottom and actually grab that hand and then move. Okay, so I'm going to stop spotlighting myself and I want you guys to try that. So either hold on your space bar and move, press your hand and move, or do your touch screen and move. Yep, so we're just moving left and right. Again, the touch screen is going to be the easiest, but to navigate, we're gonna need that hand to move. Okay, next we have zooming in and zooming out. Why do I need to do that? Because what you'll see is that my FigJam is actually a bunch of things on this whiteboard. It is an infinite whiteboard. There's a ton of space here. We're never going to run out of space. So if I want to focus on something like this, how to navigate, I'm going to need to zoom into that. That's where that pinch and zoom is going to be really helpful on your touch screen. Okay, so I want you to try to zoom in and zoom out. You're going to hold the control and then use your trackpad, or on the right hand side here, we've got like a zoom in, zoom out option. Or again, pinch on that touch screen. Okay, you already kind of saw me do this where I spotlighted myself, but over here in the top right hand corner, I can spotlight myself, and that's where it's going to give you that prompt to start following me. This just helps redirect everyone so we know that we're all in the right place. Okay, let's look at the toolbar down at the bottom, but don't add anything yet because we're going to get to that. Don't add anything yet. We're just going to look. We're browsing right now. So the first thing is our marker. If I click on my marker, notice how I have all these options here. Some of these should look familiar because if you've used anything like slides or drawings or Jamboard or anything like that, a regular marker, right? I can change the thickness of it. I can change the color of it. A highlighter, same thing. Washi tape we'll get to in just a second. Eraser, and then again, I can change the thickness and I can change the colors. So a basic marker. If I click on sticky note, I get, again, sticky note options. If I want to use a sticky note, I'm going to drag it in and then just drop it down. I'm going to get rid of that right now. Any of those sticky notes are going to include an author name at the bottom, and then you'll be able to type in. If I add a bunch of sticky notes for my students, it's going to have my name on it. And then if my students go and edit those sticky notes, it will change it to their name, which is fantastic. Next, we have our shapes menu. So we have shapes and connectors in here, as well as like a mind map. So the mind map option is going to start out with a question or topic and then have 3 subjects in there. We will look at building a mind map in just a little bit. Okay, after that, I have regular text box. The next thing is a section. So in my FigJam here, this purple area, this how to navigate this session, that is called a section. I can group all of that stuff together so that it almost acts like a slide. That's what all of these that we have here, these were all sections for you. And again, they work very similar to slides. All right, next up we have tables. So that's just going to be exactly what it says. It's a table. Then we have our stamps. So remember those little reactions or those emojis we can add in there. And then last but not least, we have our widgets. So all those things, we're going to try and get to as many as we possibly can today. So we're going to hold down our space bar and move on to our next activity. So our first activity is this warm up number 1. And right now it says it wants you to hover your mouse over your response. So if you were stuck on a desert island, would you rather have an unlimited amount of books or an unlimited amount of movies? Okay, so I want you to hover your mouse over your option. I'm probably going to be the only one that says movies. Oh, sorry, guys. Now what I'd like for you to do is press the E key on your keyboard. And you can either choose a stamp or an emoji. And I want you to give me some reactions. Once you make your cursor a stamp, you can stamp it as many times as you'd like. So this is where I start to warn teachers like, okay, let's talk about like giving access to students for this, right? Okay, maybe not right away, but we could maybe do some whole groups up with it. But, we can do something fun in there. So that E key is going to give us those stamps and emojis. Let's move to our next activity. So our first real activity. Um, this is how you know that I didn't actually make this activity, because look at how many sticky notes are there and how many people there are in this session. So we don't need this many sticky notes, but that's okay. So I would like for you to click on a sticky note, and you are going on a road trip, and I want to know what snack and drink you are bringing. What snack and drink are you bringing on this road trip? Okay, so now that we have all added our information into our sticky note, what I'd like for you to do is click the plus button on the toolbar. So click your plus button on your toolbar, and then you're going to go to stickers. And I want you to find a sticker to add to somebody else's sticky note. So a sticker to add to somebody else's sticky note. So you can change the size of it. You can obviously drag it around. And there's a lot of different stickers in here. So I would say like this is the fun, right? Especially if we're going to be having students participate in some of this stuff. And this activity here is a really easy one for students, right? I just put a bunch of sticky notes on there and get everybody in, and we're learning how to be in a collaborative document appropriately. And we're also learning how to add some of the fun things into this document. All right, let's move along to activity number 2. Activity number 2, and I'm going to show you one of the widgets. So you're not going to do this part. It's just going to be me doing this. I'm going to add a widget in here. It is one that I've used before, and it's called Teams. Go. Scroll in a little bit. So what this is going to do is it's going to break up our group here into, in this case, 2 teams. There we go. So it has now taken everybody that's signed into this FigJam and it made a team for you. Now, one thing I will say with this one is it made the team, but it doesn't actually like take you to that team's document. This is just like, even if I wanted to like group the students together for something that we're doing in the class, like this is what it's going to look like, right? So I can say join that team, but that doesn't really do anything for the document because those 2 things are separate. So now your team is going to go to the document that you're assigned to. So Susie and Mary, you're going to go to document 1. Myself, Kim, and Chrissy, we will go to document number 2. And we're going to do just one part of this. So the thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on our marker. We're actually going to change it to a highlighter. You're welcome to change the color of that highlighter. And I'd like for your group to highlight the dates. So I want you to highlight the dates. I don't care what color it is. Don't read the directions at the top because I'm changing this a little bit. So highlight the dates in the document. And you can highlight over my highlights too. That's okay. I'll forgive you. If you hold down the shift key while you're highlighting, it will actually make a straight line also. And so it won't be all wonky. If you're having problems, especially if you're using your trackpad, hold down your shift key and it's going to make that nice straight. Okay, so in this case, we might have students grouped and they're looking for different things within the same document or maybe different documents. But we're able to add that highlighting feature in there. As the teacher, I'm able to do the same thing, right? So maybe this is actually part of our work as a class. We're reading this together, and as we read things, I want to highlight some of it. So I'm reading it with the students, and we're just going to highlight some of the things that we notice in there. So we're able to highlight very easily, and we can change the color of that highlighter, the thickness, all of those things. And remember that shift key, all these keyboard shortcuts, but that shift key is going to be the thing that's going to make it nice and straight for us. We are going to move on to our next activity. So slide on over to activity number 3. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit just for my purposes. So on this one, we are looking at those graphic organizers. So we can kind of spread out on this. But you're going to find one of like a set of 3, find your own. And I want you to type in each of those. Write the first 3 things you do after waking up. What are the first 3 things that you do after waking up in the morning? After you're done adding your 3 things, if you click on any of the shapes that you have in your line, you can change the color of those. So you kind of experiment with changing the color of those shapes. Also, you can change the size of the font in the shapes. Next to each of your shapes, you also have those connectors. Those connectors are going to add an additional shape. Or if I click on the connector itself, I can actually change what it looks like. I can change the thickness of it. I want it to be thicker. I want it to be red. And maybe I want the endpoint to be a dot instead. I can add text. So you can play around with that. Even because we're kind of spread out a little bit, you can drag your shape to see that those connectors actually follow your shape. Awesome. You guys are doing a great job with this. Okay, let's go ahead to activity number 4, which I think you're really, really going to enjoy. Because activity number 4 is all about the templates that are available to you through FigJam. So the ones that they have already created. So there are activities up here created by teachers. There are activities down here created by FigJam. I'm actually going to put a timer on our FigJam right now for you to explore this. So in the top left-hand corner, I have a little timer here, and I can add some music. We'll go ahead and do 3 minutes. So I'm going to add a 3-minute timer. I have some music that's going to play, and I'd like for you guys to just click on any of these templates. It's going to open up a new window for you, and you're able to explore that template. So like see what it has available for you. Okay, our time is up with exploring these. That doesn't mean that you have to completely stop, but I just want to show you one of them. If you took a break for 3 minutes, that's fine. Or if you clicked on one of them, you probably already saw this, that you can make your own copy of it. So this one, I just happened to pick the friendship bracelet one. So this is one that somebody else has developed this. So if I zoom in here, it's going to show me how to make a bracelet. So what I'm going to do is it looks like it wants me to claim my section, and then I'm going to click on each bead to change the color. I can add flair to it by adding some stickers. I can also change the saying on it on there. And then each student is actually going to claim what their bracelet or which bracelet they have. And then explain what their bracelet is. This is just a really fun activity. Now maybe if I like this activity and I'm thinking, oh, this would be really fun for the beginning of the school year, but I don't want to give every kid the same, like we don't want to be collaborative in a FigJam like immediately. I could also zoom out of this and whoops, I went way too far. And maybe I want to like get rid of some of these and I'm going to share this individually with students. And so they're going to make their little friendship bracelet just individually, but they're still using all the FigJam tools because I think while FigJam is really great, a great collaborative experience, obviously, that's a little terrifying as a teacher. It also has a really good just user experience as a whiteboard. There's a lot of tools in here and things like that. Okay, what I'm gonna have us do now is I'd like for you to kind of zoom out uh, quite a bit. Actually, you can zoom out pretty far. And I want you to find some white space and play with any of the tools that we have not done yet. So we didn't really talk about the marker. So I want you to just find some white space and I want you to draw something. We had sticky notes, but you didn't add your own sticky note. So I want you to add a sticky note. So I'll just give you a few minutes to play with any of these tools that we haven't done yet. Do not go to widgets yet because we will do that in just a second. But do like the marker, the post-it note. You can add some more shapes if you'd like to. You can add a text box if you want. The stamps we played with a little bit. The washi tape we did not play with. Let's look at our widgets now. So we already went into stickers to see what options there were for stickers. Again, there's a lot that's in there, so we can, browse through this. There's a ton that's in there. I would probably get lost and maybe mildly obsessed with this area, but I'm thinking if I'm going to create like my classroom hub using this, stickers are just a really fun way to like maybe organize some of the things. Look at this one. This one is a meeting agenda. So it actually has like little flags in there. You can add our text, a list item, all of that stuff. So just really cool things in stickers. Templates. So remember those templates that we already explored? Those are also available in this widgets area. So if you create a new FigJam completely blank, you can add some templates in here as well. You may check if you're liking the idea of like a classroom hub, you may check in here to see if there are any templates that would be classroom hub kind of style. So lots and lots and lots of templates in there and things are being added constantly. Next, we have our widgets. So that's where I use that to create the teams. We can also add voice memos in here. This would be helpful if I was giving this individually to students and I wanted them to be able to hear the directions. I could use voice memos. Photo booth is going to add that little picture. Same thing with Giphy stickers. There's actually a Connect 4 game in there. Some brainstorming tools, diagramming tools. In workshops, what do you see here? I've got dice that I can roll as well as flipping a coin. So I know these are two popular things that people have used in Classroom Screen or have used other tools for those. So those are both in there. I also have a poll, a vote. So this would be like everybody would click it as they're in there. We also have flip a card. So maybe this is like part of a review game almost. You add in terms like kind of like Quizlet, I think it is. So you add a term, add a definition, you can add flip cards in there. Lots of different things that you can add to your FigJam. Ton of stuff in here. We also have some plugins. So this would be like, I want to connect these two things. We don't necessarily, I would say most of these we're probably not going to be using a ton of. This is more like for that Figma enterprise stuff. And then under here we have more. So we also have like set a timer. I can upload media. This is where I might be able to add a link. So this would be like to a Google Doc or to a video or something like that. We can also add some custom faces in there, mind map, ton of different things in this stamps area here. So we talked about a lot of stuff today. I got you into this template. So let's talk about how to get out of this template to see what is actually in your account. So in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to stop spotlighting myself in the top left-hand corner. You should see a main menu with the FigJam logo, and you can go back to files. So if you click that back to files, it's going to take you out of there. And it will show you if you did make a copy of any of those templates, it's going to show those there. You'll also have access to this June 19th file. So if you want to keep playing in there, you will have access to that. And then in the top right-hand corner is the purple button, is the one that's the FigJam board. And if you click on that, it's just going to give you that blank whiteboard. So you're going to completely start from scratch. It's going to give you some ideas here. But you don't even have to necessarily do that. If I click the X, now I can do whatever I want with this file. And maybe this is where I have that classroom hub and I start to like kind of build things out. I have the agenda for the day up here. I have some timers on there, maybe a bell ringer or something like that. But this is what I'm going to use to kind of play around with FigJam, is this blank file here. In terms of if I do create something, or like the friendship bracelet one, and I want to share it with students, in the top right-hand corner, you do have share, and then I can publish this, and I can copy the link so that people can edit it. I can also invite people directly via their email address. So we're able to share this with students. More on that information coming later, like closer to the fall. So I would really just focus on how am I as the teacher going to use this digital whiteboard here.